Hello, welcome everybody. We'll get started here in just one more minute. Unfortunately, if everyone was expecting Aileen to join, she was unable to make it, but we do have the wonderful Lilit here, who is her boss, so we have the even better person to showcase Workfront Planning to us. So please, in the chat, include where you're coming from and what you'd like to get out of today's session. We really would love to tailor this to see what everyone's expertise is. If you know anything about Workfront Planning, great. If you don't, we're here to introduce it. This session will be recorded up to a certain point. If we do show anything that is roadmap specific, we will have to stop the recording, but otherwise we'll get started here in just a minute. All right. All right, let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Workfront user group content supply chain in practice. We are joining to do some introductions, housekeeping, and we'll have a wonderful discussion completed by Lilit from the Adobe product team talking about Workfront planning. Before we get started, we actually will be recording part of this session, but we will definitely be stopping the recording as soon as we start looking at roadmaps. So if you do not want to be recorded, we recommend that you stop and drop now, and we will get to see you guys in the later recordings. Just some user group house rules. We do not self-promote or pitch any kind during this user group event. We do not contact people outside of the user group without their consent. And if a user group member shares their use cases at this meeting, please don't share that information without their consent. Anything that Lilit does share today, she will let you know if it's something that we can share with other people, including in your company or outside of your company. The Skill Exchange virtual event is happening. Workfronts is happening on August 5th. Hi, hello. I'm actually going to be one of your speakers, I think at 1 or 1:30, where I'll be talking about Workfront Planning and their AI designer. Really interesting tool, awesome time. There's a lot going on. We have 2 different tracks. We have the Learn track for people that are interested and don't quite know what's happening. And then we've got the Grow track for people that are ready to advance their career within Workfront tools. That is just for Workfront, but we also have AEP, AI, and a few of other skill exchanges happening on other days. So registration is open, and please feel free to join. If you're interested in being a co-leader for a Workfront user group, we do have some accepting applications in the Boston, Chicago, DMV, Minnesota, and Utah area as well. If you're interested in another area that doesn't have a user group and you'd like to start one, please contact Julie Wilson if you're interested. Workfront Perspectives. Perspectives is a dedicated workspace on Experience League, featuring content written by myself and lots of others that are doing these Workfront user groups. I've got everything on there from Workfront and AEM to my perspectives on AI. So it's really great use cases on perspectives. And if you'd like to learn more about it, or if you're interested in writing your own perspective specifically on Workfront, please get that registered QR code. I think this might be the second to last one before we get started into the conversation. If you're interested in talking AI within the community, we have one more QR code to learn how marketers are using AI in real workflows. And we're here to ask questions, share ideas, and learn from our peers. So if you're interested in joining that conversation and Experience Lead, one more QR code for you guys to review. Last but not least, please stay connected with our chapter. If you are not a member of our chapter, please join this QR code here. You will not get notified about Workfront user group content supply chain events unless you are a member. Even if you've gone and you're on this meeting event now, you will not get notifications about future events unless you join the chapter. I personally am a member of every single chapter of a Workfront user group, just so I know I have all those notifications. Okay, today we're going to be talking about Workfront Planning with Lilit from Adobe. But if you're interested in learning more about AI and the content supply chain, we do have one more event. I think it's August 23rd, and I'll add that link into the chat that Jeremy Flores will be presenting on. So in that time, I'm now going to stop sharing my screen, and Lilit, pass that over to you to get started.
Thank you. Thanks, and hi, everyone. Glad to be here today and sharing the perspective on the planning and answer any questions that you have. And today I'm again, as Autumn mentioned, I'm going to cover for Eileen. She's leading the whole Workfront Planning team, and I'm on her team, managing the areas such as the governance, permissions, cross workspace capabilities, etc. So without further ado, I'm just going to share my screen. We will go through some slides here. And the way I want to drive this today is I will just, because I know we have people joining with different levels of expertise on planning, I'm just going to cover some generic ideas and main terminology that we are using here. So everyone has context about the product, and then we will get to do some demo, live demo, explain the main concepts there, and we can have a Q&A session and try to answer any questions that you will have. And also, just please feel free to jump in and ask your questions whenever you have them. So this is, just don't make sure you don't wait until the end, right? So whenever you have,
I'll be fielding those questions as they come through. So if we miss anything, just ping me and we'll make sure we get to that.
Okay, so quickly, just to recap, what is Workfront Planning and why we built it, right? So we built it planning to be the ideation and strategic planning layer within Workfront, because what we had noticed previously was that very often people, customers, brought only the approved and structured work into Workfront, while the higher, earlier stages of planning of these campaigns and strategic ideation was happening outside of Workfront, in spreadsheets, in emails, in some different other products, which was not helping with connecting the execution work to all of these strategic planning work that's happening elsewhere, right? So that's why we wanted to ensure that within Workfront, we also have a capability that unlocks this strategic planning layer, and also it's simple to use. We wanted to make sure that people can just get into it and start using from day one. So we're saying this is the simplicity of spreadsheets with the power of enterprise software, because we understand that with simplicity, we still need to be to ensure that our customers, who are mainly larger enterprises, can cover their governance needs as well. So within planning, we have capabilities that enable ideation and synthesis of information, and to build plans and to centralize the whole planning across all of the teams, all of the business units, and the whole organization, to govern the metadata consistently that all of the teams can reuse, and also provide visibility across the whole organization using the AI capabilities and accelerate the whole process, right? So the main value here that we can say we are aiming for is to make sure planning becomes the one source of truth for the customer, where you will have all of your the whole plan, and then you can also cascade down to the downstream execution work and link all of this information to your workflow projects. We want to make sure that it is adopted well, so hence the whole simplicity and ease of use. We provide data here that you can trust, because you have a lot of governance capabilities and controls here, and also it provides visibility and insight into what's happening in your organization, instead of having to rely on your instincts or guess what's happening, right? So here, there are multiple use cases that our customers are using planning for, and here are some of those ways, right? So I kind of listed here the 5 of them. The first one is we provide executive visibility with capabilities such as the global record types, for example. The executive team can get visibility into what's happening across all of the teams in one place without having to do some additional work. We allow centralizing the plan management. So again, you can ensure that all of the plans are available in the same place together, and with consistent information, with the same structure. The governance and metadata is a big topic here, because planning allows very flexible way to organize your data and govern it, and make sure that everyone can use it consistently. one of the important use cases that we have seen is the annual and quarterly planning, the whole orchestration of the campaign planning, as well as like global to local campaigns alignment, right? So you have your global campaigns, and then local teams are going to also create their own local regional versions of it, and then align their work to what's happening globally. So there are a lot of different cases, and this is due to the flexible nature of planning, where the users are able to create their own workspaces, their own record types with the same, like with the structure that they need, with the fields that they need. This is like creating a space where a lot of use cases can be fit into the system. So I just want to cover a couple of like important concepts about planning. So this is the home screen for planning, and whenever you navigate, you will see the list of all of the workspaces where you're a member, and information in planning is structured within workspaces. So a workspace is basically a dedicated area where each team can go create their own workspace, define whatever record types, information that they need to use to manage their own workflows, and just like invite the team members and start collaborating there. So this can be done even for smaller teams to cover some local needs and use cases, as well as you can just do the overall organization-wide workflow management as well at the top level. And within the workspace, as I said, everything is represented as a record type. So whatever type of information you need, you create a record type for it. And these record types can be linked together to create relationships and connections, and thus represent the whole workflow. So within each record type, there are the line items which represent a specific record for that type, right? So for example, if you have a campaign record type, you will have rows that each represent one campaign that you can visualize with different view types. Currently, we are supporting table, calendar, and timeline views, and this way, like the same information can be visualized either as a table, where usually we see people are like managing the information in the table view, or you can visualize it in the calendar and timeline views as well. We have seen that timeline view is really popular, and this provides a lot of like visibility and around like what are the conflicts, right? How my records are like competing with each other or not, how the timelines are adding up. So yeah, these are the visualizations type that we currently support, and we are continually adding some enhancements to those. And I'm just going to show them live in a second. Yeah, again, a record is an instance within each record type, and like for example here, each line item is a record, and if you click on each of these line items, you will be presented with its brief with the details and information in it. So you can have a quick view, like look into the whole details together. Also, it's possible to create custom sections and represent any of its connected records as a table, and kind of this can become a one-stop shop for your campaigns, right? So you open a campaign, you can see all of its connected information, you can see all of its connected workflow projects that through which the work is being executed, etc. And the last thing I want to really like cover really quickly is the connections, and this is I would say this is crucial for the whole system, because connections ensure that your record types are linked to each other with the correct relationship, right? So for example, if you are managing campaigns and that roll into, let's say, tactics, and then tactics break down into experiences, you can just create this relationship between these record types and start linking them together and seeing like how, like within the campaign, you can say, okay, these are my tactics that contribute to this campaign, and these are the experiences for the tactic. So the connections can be established between the record types within the same workspace, as well as with the record types in other workspaces, and with the workflow object types like projects, portfolios, programs, companies, and groups, and as well as with AEM assets. So this means that you can reference any existing assets that you already have to your planning records. So I'm just going to stop here at this point, and if there are any questions, please let me know. If not, I'll just go ahead and start the demo.
Yeah, I don't see anything in the chat. I think we can start the demo. And just for your reference, it does seem like everybody is mostly looking to learn more about planning and their use cases. But I do see Kirsten is looking to see a little bit more about improving their current experience. So mix of both people that don't know much about Workfront planning and some that have a little bit more context. Yep.
Sounds good. So yeah, I will just try then in that case to just cover the main concepts. And by the way, do you see the other screen or not?
I am seeing your connections PowerPoint.
Okay, then maybe I'll need to stop sharing and sharing. Just give me a second.
Yeah, no worries.
While you do that, I just wanted to say hi. I'm finally able to log in. The entire system was down in the office. And of course, today I work from the office, but I'm here. I'm so sorry.
That's okay, Cass. I was worried about you. I thought something had happened to you. So I'm glad you're here and nothing's wrong.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for taking over today.
No worries.
So here, do you see just one screen? I'm just like new to this system. So here, for example, do you see this other screen that I switched to? Because I have two browser windows open.
Yes, I see Good Evening Lilit in your Adobe Workfront homepage.
Okay, I see. Okay, in that case, I'll start with this user. So basically just wanted to say, if you go to the main menu in Workfront, you will have the planning section here. And for all the standard users, it's available out of the box. And also you can configure the availability of planning through layout templates. And if you navigate to planning, you will be presented. If you already have any workspaces, you will see the workspaces. Otherwise, there are ways that like you can either create new workspace using the planning designer here. Like you can upload any of your existing workflow documentation and get the system help you to build it up as a workspace, or you can just create a new workspace by using some of the available templates, use our best practice implementation set of templates, or just create it from scratch, right? So just to start here, I'm just going to show you these are the best implementation workspaces that we have built out and deployed from the templates. So here I want, like, if I let's start from the global classification and taxonomies, right? So what we have seen for our customers is very often there is a need to have a global list of reusable information, reusable taxonomical items that different teams are going to use and take their work. So for example, we have a list of brands, we have a list of products, platforms, channels, etc. And these are things that need to be consistent across all of the teams, whoever needs to use them. We don't want every team to recreate it on their own. We just want everyone to consume the same information we define once and govern it centrally. So for this purpose, we have the option of creating a all of these are record types, and within each record type, we have a setting that allows making it available for different workspaces. You can say either with all workspaces are able to connect to this, or you can define the specific workspaces that should use the information. So again, like this space that we are seeing is usually reserved for the type of information that different teams are going to reuse and kind of take their work. The other workspace that we are creating is now like the global marketing workspace. So, and I should have started telling that like this example is based on Friscopa company. This is some made up company that we're using, and it kind of represents how their marketing workflow is deployed in planning. So they have the global classification and taxonomies, and also they have the global marketing workspace where they are storing their main operational record types and all of the like information tied to it. So here we can see that the workflow contains the campaigns, channel tactics, experiences, and also there are some events that they need to track, right? And again, I just want to highlight that this is each of these are record types that can be created from scratch, or you can upload a file if there are some reusable record types that are not available at this point, you can use them as well. I will show them just like shortly. So here, like you will notice that These channel tactics, experiences, and events, they have this globe icon to them, and this defines that these are the global record types. I want to specifically touch about on this topic, because global record type means that on the global level, I can on this workspace, I'm defining that this is the global marketing workspace. I define my structure for all of my channel tactics and experiences, and I know that different teams are going to store their tactics and experiences on their own. So instead of asking each team to go to their workspace and recreate these record types, I am defining them as global. So this is done by going to the settings and kind of like enabling the global record type. This way, this means that if you go to another workspace, you will be able to add the exact same record type to that workspace, so that the team in that workspace is able to use it. Right, so I'm just going to somehow, I'll just add my name. It was supposed to be in the list. Okay, so for example, this channel tactics record type, if I go and create a new workspace from scratch, let's say this is for events team. If I go and try to create a new record type, you will see that now that I have an option to use the existing one. So the channel tactic record type that is defined globally by the ops person, I can just bring it to my workspace and start adding information to it. And here I can say event, like tactic 1, tactic 2, etc. And I'm like specifically highlighting this capability because this is very critical to ensuring that different teams can use the information with the same structure and consistency, and that the information is governed. And as soon as I create any new item in this workspace, you can see that it's tagged for that team's workspace. So I created a new workspace for events, for example, and now my tactic is tagged for event. And the important part here is that if I go back to my global marketing, the global workspace now displays everything across all of the workspaces and all of the teams. And you can see my events team items are now automatically rolled up here. So this is a very important and key functionality for planning that allows us to say, hey, you define your processes and structure on the global level, you bring the leadership to this global workspace, and without having to add them to any of the team workspaces, they get visibility into everything that's happening across the team, right? So like the use cases that I was talking about, like the global to regional campaign management or providing executive visibility, it is largely unlocked through this concept of global record types. And also what is very important here is that the downstream workspaces are not able to change any of the existing fields. So they have to use the information with consistency and with the same structure that I define here. So I'm just going to, again, stop here quickly for any questions, because this is one concept that we get asked a lot. Okay, so if there are no questions, I will just continue to talk about the main capabilities. So again, like this channel tactic at this point was already added to multiple different teams, and I can now group by workspace, for example, within my table view, and the system will tell me, oh, okay, sorry, this was actually not added to other workspaces, and right now it contains only records from the global workspace, but I'm just going to bring back the records I just deleted from the events. So this is like the recycle bin. And as soon as I bring them back, you will see that now the events team's data is also like represented here. And I can see their data together. Let's maybe go back to the campaigns record type, because here I have some better visualizations available to cover the views. So in my campaigns record type, I have created this, for example, the timeline view. that I was talking about, right? So you can say, these are my campaigns and I want to display them over the timeline using some of the dates on the campaigns that I'm tracking. You can even drag and drop, resize them, and change the dates quickly to make sure that they are like meeting the timelines that you want them to be available. The other visualization type, as I said, was the calendar visualization, where you will have your like grid type calendar view, and it just shows all of the campaigns. Like the same campaigns that we had in the other views are now represented over this grid calendar, and they're spanning the whole timeline, like based on their start and then that you will define. Okay, I'm just going back to the table view. And as I mentioned, one of the very important concepts in planning is the connections. Here, whenever you go to create a new field, there is a way to create, we have this new connection section, and here you can connect the campaigns to any record type in your current workspace, or you will also see all of the other workspaces that have cross-workspace connections available. And at the end, also, we have the Workfront project and Adobe Experience Manager as well. So let's say I want to represent the fact that my campaigns are linked to projects, and I want to tag the projects that are going to contribute the campaign. We can create this connection field with a few clicks. We can bring in any information from workflow as well. So let me just use the unique here. And just like that, like now I have a new field, and here I can link and tag any existing workflow project to my campaign, and it can be it will show me what execution work is currently happening that will contribute to the completion and delivery of my specific campaigns. Any questions at this point?
Lilit, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat about using Fusion to make the connections. Can you explain a little bit about what's the native and what would require Fusion?
Fusion to create connections. So just to be clear, to actually create the connection field or to connect the records, you can do it from planning itself. However, what we don't do out of the box is, if you want, let's say, if you have some information on your campaign and you want to copy that information on the project itself, right? So let's say you want to make sure the campaign's description, for example, or the start date is populated within project's start date or the description field. That's not available out of the box, so we are not mapping the campaigns and projects field to each other, but that's where we see a lot of customers using Fusion. Like if there is a need for them, they can just utilize Fusion to do this data mapping together. Is this what, I don't know who asked the question, but is this what you had in mind?
Yes, this is what Kimberly had in mind.
Kimberly just said that, yes, that's exactly what she meant.
As well, Lilit, could you maybe give an overview for everyone so they understand that the connection that can be made between Workfront Workflow, which is Workfront Core, what everyone probably on this call definitely has, and Workfront Planning, and how those are made? I know you briefly touched on connections, but I think people don't quite understand that these two tools can be used in connection with each other.
Yeah. So like I just created this connection with project object, right? So, and it is like the flow is very similar to whatever other connection you create. And one of the options there is projects for Workfront. When you create them, you can start just typing any of the existing projects. And if I just click on any of the selected items within the project column, we are going to see the do you see the project tab, or my sharing is only showing the planning?
It's still showing planning.
Yeah, okay. And now?
Yes, now I see the project.
Yeah. So like when I clicked on the tab from planning, it like directly took me to Workflow, because it was actually the exact same project that I already had in Workflow, and it is now linked to my planning record. And within Workflow itself, you will notice there is the planning section, right? So if you go to planning here, from the other side, you will also be able to see, hey, these are the campaigns linked to this project. And you can also click into it, and it will open the whole like kind of campaign brief record detail page. And here you will see, like, again, all of the reference of whatever campaign information you're interested in. From the Workflow side, we also have the ability to create custom fields that will reference the planning data. So I will just really quickly just go there and kind of show what I mean. So if you go to any custom form, you will notice this planning connection field type, which is, I mean, it's already there for some time now, but let's say if I want to say, I want to create a planning connection field that will show the campaigns. Or maybe I selected the wrong object type, sorry. I will also select project. So it will show the, I'm saying like, this is the planning connection to display the campaigns for the project object. And I'm telling the system that I need to, okay, so I have 2 items with the same name. Okay, so from this workspace, the campaign record type, the project connection that I created, I want to display that information as part of this custom field. So it says additional task details now. I kind of picked the wrong one, but let me just make it additional details. If I apply this change, go back to my project, connect the connect the form, and now you will see we, as part of the custom form itself, now I can see the name of the campaign that is linked to the project. And again, clicking on this, I will be able to reference the connected planning record as well. Okay. Let's go back to go back to planning here. Any questions on that part?
No questions so far. I just want to say that I love seeing this work. I'm a huge fan of Workfront Planning and everything that we're doing for specifically for one of my clients that's using this in a number of ways. And it's not, a lot of people use planning for campaigns and marketing, but I know of plenty of other places. So, you can use it for event management and plenty. What I'm trying to say is there's so many more use cases outside of just the marketing organization that people tend to look for. So Kirsten is still wanting to clarify, Fusion automate the connecting of planning to projects. So no, so we don't need to use Fusion to connect planning to projects. But I think if you want to trigger a project creation from planning, that would require Fusion. Is that correct?
I will just cover that we do have automations, like some basic automations within planning itself. So for example, let's try to create an automation that will trigger a project creation, right? So I'm just going to create automation that says create project. And here it can be done with 2 options, either a button click or field value change. So let's say I want a button, so I click on the button and the project is created. And here as an option, we have several automation types. Either you can say, I want to create a single project, multiple project, create record, program, portfolio, group, right? So the create record is for the planning data, so let's not touch it right now, but I will just select this create a single project option. And here it says okay, when I click the button, a single project will be created as part of the project's connection field that we created in the record type. And also you can select one of your existing workflow projects so that the created project will be based on this template, right? So if I save this automation, what this does now, if we go back to our campaigns list, let's just go to the projects column. Let's say I select one of my campaigns. You will see on the toolbar now we have a automation button. So we can click it and the automation will kind of in a few seconds it will create. Oops, yeah, that's happens every time we demo, right? But I don't know what's happening here, what caused this problem, but what happens with automations, if you click the button, the project is created with the same name. And in this case, it would be created with the template that I selected, and it would be automatically linked to like in this field itself. So in terms of like triggering the creation of the project, we can do it here through these like native automations. But again, if you need some additional information to be mapped or some, I don't know, some to handle some other settings during the process, you can always use Fusion for that.
And when you select that and create the project, is all the information in that record going to come over, or is that the mapping that you're referencing?
That is the mapping part. At this point, what we are doing, we are just creating like blank projects based on the template. And our recommendation here is that, like, because what we have here is we are recommending that if you go to the project, you can again use the either the planning connection field or the like planning section. Just click on the campaign and you will see the whole information, right? So instead of copying over to the project and duplicating the data there, our recommendation is like you can always reference it from the planning record. But yeah, like for the mapping, the Fusion is the way to do it for now.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like Dario said, I've never used planning, but it seems from a PM perspective that planning seems like what we'd want to use for portfolio management while leveraging Workfront Core for the projects. Is that how people are mainly utilizing this?
Actually, yes, that is the plan. So right now, our portfolio and program objects, for example, right there, they're kind of buckets that contain the projects, right? So with evolution of planning, we see that with time, instead of using this portfolio and program objects, that we would direct customers to like handle everything in planning instead, and use the like project in workflow as the main object type in the system to handle the whole like execution work there.
Great. And just for another example, I know a lot of companies. One of my clients now that uses projects within projects. So there might be a parent project for managing all the little projects, and this is a great example of where they're moving over into Workfront Planning, hopefully by the end of August. And this is where we're going to take that pre-project that manages all of them and gets all that information there together. So that's just one single example that I can think of not just for PM work, but it helps with maybe just even filling out, like, think of it almost like a campaign brief. If you have a campaign brief and you have all this information that you want to live across different projects and information, it can live here and be connected. Because the best thing and I don't think you've shown this yet, is that you can also report out on Workfront Planning objects or records in Workfront Workflow, making those connections very similar to what you saw in the custom forms.
So to be clear about the reportability part, the planning data is not available in right now in the native like reporting in planning, but it is reportable through the Canvas dashboards capability. And also we have some ongoing initiatives that are, again, kind of, we understand that the native reports are being used a lot. So we are like working on some initiatives that will help like visualize that information there as well. So yeah, just to be clear on that part.
Yeah, good clarification. Thank you, Lilit.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to add, from my perspective, I wanted to thank you for whoever asked that question, and Autumn and Lilit for making that distinction for me, because I'm very new in planning. I'm in the process of getting this implemented, and I never saw it. I was always complaining about, like, it sucks that I can't create a project and associate it with a program in workflow, because that's how we organize our campaigns currently. But thinking from like a future perspective and saying, the idea is that you're not going to be using these portfolios and programs, but that you're going to be using planning for categorizing all of these projects. Now it makes sense in my brain, because I kept asking myself, and I feel like I've asked this question in every planning webinar that I've joined, is like, where does planning begin and end, and where does workflow begin? And that's the piece that was missing for me, and I think this clarifies it a lot.
Yeah. And at some point, like if I'm honest here, we are, as I said, we are working through some like reportability pieces, right? And like with the evolution of the product, we can at some point have information like for the programs and portfolios somehow represented maybe in planning side, or like we are thinking how we are going to reconcile all of these constructs together. And because we understand that, as you were saying, right? So in a lot of cases, the needs and scenarios for like whether we do it in programs and portfolios, and also we do it in planning, how do we link them and kind of compare them to each other? So we are thinking around how we are going to reconcile these different object types. So something that you can expect on our upcoming roadmaps. And also one thing I wanted to highlight is, again, like in workflow, you know, one of the reasons also for why we decided to create planning is because of the rigid structure in workflow. So we have portfolio, program, and project, and that doesn't give a lot of flexibility and freedom for our customers to really define the workflows the way that they need. So they had like, I'm sure many of you have seen, like have come across this challenge that like customers have to fit their workflows to what the system allows, the system structure, instead of really like just going with their own workflow and without having to do any workarounds and using some like record types that don't really represent that type of work that they need, right? So with planning, you can create as many levels, as many types of records that you want. You can create the relationship between them as you want. So, you know, portfolio and program and projects that are just linear, and you cannot have more than one program or more than one portfolio, right? But we have seen cases when like people want to link their projects to multiple like higher level like programs or portfolios. And with planning, that is also possible, because I will like quickly show it maybe. So when you create a connection, you can also decide, hey, like, is this like many to many? Is this one to many? Like, do I want my projects to link to multiple campaigns, or do I want to? You see, right? Like, well, all of the different possible ways is available here, and it just again adds to all of the flexibility that like you can go with defining your own workflows. One thing I want to cover as well, quickly show, I covered it quickly, is that we also support connectivity with AEM assets. So here, if you are using AEM assets, here you will have another option for connections, and you can select the repository from where you want to select the objects, right? Create the connection field. I'm not even sure which repo I used, to be honest. So hopefully we do have some data there. And yeah, as soon as you create the connection field, you will be able to go into this content advisor pop-up and select from the existing items that you have. So let's say if this is some ready asset, you can just reference it on the campaign itself. If you go to the campaign page, it will be like very nicely displayed. Also, similarly in the connections part, etc. So again, like creating this bridge between assets and workflow and the whole planning process as well together. I also wanted to cover the request forms. So if no questions about the assets, I could also like briefly talk about request forms.
Yeah, let's
Yes,
do that.
I think I was going to say a lot of people are used to submitting requests and having request forms in workflow, and I have heard from a few people saying like, okay, how do you transition from making all those requests in workflow to now working directly in planning? And I know, like, from my perspective, I have some request forms that have approval workflows, right? And now I just when I give them access to planning, now they're just manually adding the stuff there. How do we limit them so that they're submitting those requests rather than just going into the table and making those changes?
Oh, okay. So you mean like you want to ensure that people can only create items through request, not by using the record button, new record button, right?
It's just a change in our process, right? Because once I give them access to planning so that they can visualize the information there, I have to understand that they'll now have access to making the edits through here rather than through the request form from where I have, the approvals
Yeah.
and the guardrails.
Makes sense. So, I mean, if the users are later also going to make changes to the records or not, that can kind of, there can be different ways we can explore this, right? So if you just want people to submit requests and then not do any changes later on, you could just add them as viewers for this record type, and then configure the request form in a way that even the viewers can submit the request. However, if you also want this people to submit the request and then later on make updates to them, that's currently something that we don't support. I acknowledge the gap, but we are working on introducing some advanced capabilities in record type sharing, and that is one of the options that we are going to say, hey, within these record types, people can only create work through request forms. They cannot create it directly using the new record or creating it from the table itself, right? So it's something that we have in plans, and very soon it will be possible to govern it that way. I hope I answered your question.
You did. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so again, the intake form here, there's only one, but maybe already one, but maybe we can just create a new form. Campaigns intake, something like this. Oh. So when you create the form, you will see like all of the fields available here already added. You can, and this is like the UI is similar to, I mean, not exactly the same, but very similar to the custom forms custom form builder that we have in workflow. So you can just decide all of the fields that you want, all of the order that you want for the form itself, and also you can define some display and skip logic available for those fields, of course, based on what field tab you are selecting. And also you can select, oops, sorry. Shouldn't have done that. I discarded the changes, but anyways. So here we also have the ability to define approvals, like whether there is an approval for the request or not, and who are the approvers, and also whether as soon as the request is submitted, should it be considered as complete or not, or do you want people to kind of just be able to complete the request itself. So once the request form is created, then if we go back to the table, in the new record button, we have this third option through which people will be able to submit requests here. Campaign request. And again, select any information that you set up, and these are all of the connection fields as well we have from the current or different workspaces. Complete the information, submitted, and this request will appear in the table itself.
We do have a question from Susie Park, who asked, do fields need to be defined on a record type before you create the request form?
Oh, right. Yes. So the request form allows you to use any field that is already available. So to do that, again, you can just, unlike workflow, this is done by using this plus button on each record type. And yeah, we have a number of different field types here as well. And as soon as you create them, you can then go and add them to your request forms as well. And I want to highlight that the planning forms, I don't know why it switched to this other layout, but let's go to requests. So if you navigate to the new experience for the requests, from here you can also like access the planning forms, and within the list you can see all of the planning or workflow requests that you have submitted. So they're all like available together in the system. Okay. Any questions on this part? Or I mean, like I've knowing we have different like people with different knowledge of the system, I kind of try to do some demo, but can we have maybe, I don't know, I will stop the demo maybe, and we can start doing some generic Q&A if you have any other questions not around the areas that I presented. So let's maybe do that.
Yeah, feel free to add questions in the chat, guys. Come off camera, come off mute if you want. You don't have to. Here to learn from Lilit, our Adobe product expert on Workfront Planning. Yep. What's your favorite function within Workfront Planning that you like to use the most that people don't typically think about?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Okay. That is a very good question. And I mean, I would highlight I actually covered it a little, like the global record type capability, because this is something that really changed the way that we can work and look at planning. And instead of just making it, okay, this is a workspace, you like everything needs to be recreated, and you cannot really have this how I say, like multiple teams feeding from the same structure governed at the top level by the ops team. Like we didn't have that before. Before the global record types, we had to ask like either every team needs to be in the same workspace to use the same record type. And like using the same record type means like you have this centralized list of work that's happening across teams, right? So either we had to ask people to bring everyone to the same workspace, which created these governance challenges, because there was a need to bring all of the record types that is specific to one team but not the other, and like there were a lot of governance overhead involved. Also some unauthorized access could happen because I could see something that other teams are working on and I'm not supposed to see it, right? Sure. And the other option was that like, okay, now we don't want to do that. Every team goes and just works in their own workspace. And this is creating the separation and bringing some walls between the teams, because now we don't know, like every team is creating their own version of campaigns record type or tactics record type, and they just like, you have to go to each workspace and handpick the information and connect together, and it's not creating any visibility for the leadership. And why the global record types is revolutionary here, because we are kind of combining the benefits of these two ways, because like the ops admin defines, okay, across the board for all of the teams, this is the campaign's record type. This is the structure everyone uses. If I change something in the fields, it applies to everyone. And now the teams can just edit locally, like use this governed structure and just work with their own information. They don't see each other's work. They just have their own items available. However, on the global level, this main workspace, the leadership still can see the work that's happening across those teams, right? So this is really like creating so much more value in terms of governance, ensuring that it's like the metadata is centrally managed and available to everyone, and also ensuring that the work happening across the whole organization is just readily available for the leadership's review. And again, this is like unlocking so many like different use cases and scenarios. So if I go to experiences, I think here we have more data. So experiences is again a global record type. Again, this icon defines that. And it is added to like these two like social and media PR workspace, for example. And here I can like group my like experience list by these workspaces, and we can see, okay, these are all of the information coming from these different teams. I can create the timeline, and like this could be a person who is only part of this global workspace and is not like part of the team workspaces. However, they are able to see the information and the work that is happening across those teams. So that's why for me this capability is something that unlocks a lot of different like use cases and value.
That's great. So 2 more questions just to round us back out. Kirsten, excuse me, asked, they're currently using a custom form to manage overarching campaign inputs and direction with additional forms to manage the different channels inputs. Is this something that you would recommend for planning to do instead?
So these are like the campaigns are currently managed in workflow, right? So
Yes.
I just want to.
And then for everyone's reference, Workfront workflow is the Workfront core, what generally everyone's speaking of. I know that was also another question that Isabella said. So I'll let you answer that one first, and then we have one other very quick question when that's done.
Yeah. With the introduction of planning, we definitely recommend that we shift to using planning for those purposes as well. So instead of having this form in workflow, you would just have like corresponding workspace and workflows defined for campaigns in planning, and then switch to using the planning record type and planning intake forms for that.
Wonderful. And then lastly, Isabella asked about integrating with one standard Workfront, which I think we already talked about, but what about Gen Studio?
Yeah, for Gen Studio, so like just one thing is if you have Gen Studio, right, like you will have a default Gen Studio workspace available within planning, because like under the hood, planning information is feeding the Gen Studio data there. So like if you go to the workspace, you will be able to see the information that is used in Gen Studio here directly. And all of the campaigns that you can access from Gen Studio, they will also be represented here, listed as our like regular planning table, and you can also switch between all of the different visualizations that we have here. So as soon as you have Gen Studio and planning, you can have this integration, and this specific workspace will represent all of your Gen Studio data.
That's fantastic. You know, I have not spent a whole lot of time with Gen Studio and planning together, but I've seen the Adobe Gen Studio workspace set up in my sandbox environment, and I never thought to click in. And I just thought it was someone just created. So that's wonderful to hear. Okay, guys, we are out of time. Are there any final questions that did not get answered? If there is, feel free to message myself, Cass, or Lilit, and we would be happy to get back with you. And we appreciate you guys taking the time and learning a little bit more about Workfront Planning today. Thank you, everybody. We will have this recording available and set up on YouTube sometime the next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.